So naalala niyo pa ba lahat ng mga na-discuss natin about test development and reliability? So what are the different types of reliability evidence? Anyone? Ano-ano yung mga different types of reliability evidence? Franz.
Yung ano po, test, retest po.
Okay, test, retest. And how is it established or analyzed?
Yung test, retest po kasi it changes over time and it uses Pearson R po.
Yes, very good. Next type of reliability evidence. Yes, Franz.
Yung alternate parallel forms po. In alternate parallel forms po, it can be immediate or delayed and it also uses Pearson R din po.
Yes, very good. No, so kapag sinabi nating alternate forms, no, we have two different versions of the test. Pero sa parallel forms naman, our participants or respondents should earn the same score and at the same time should earn both item means and item variances similarly. So yun yung difference between them. Next, tell.
Sir, yung split half po.
Yes. Very good. So pag sinabi natin split half, we can either do the odd-even scheme or pwede naman na pagpantay-pantayin lang based on the number of items. So with split half reliability, we are using the Spearman-Brown correction, which can be used to adjust the reliability estimate of a test considering that hahatiin siya or paiikliin. Kasi 'di ba, based from the domain sampling model, the larger the items, the more reliable the test will be. Pero contrary siya doon sa split half kasi papaikliin mo yung test. So therefore, there is a definite need to make a correction regarding the reliability evidence. How about the next type of reliability evidence? Team.
Yung inter-item consistency po.
Yes. So pag sinabi nating inter-item consistency, it is concerned with the homogeneity of items. So does the item itself, or do the items themselves rather, represent or truly measure our construct of interest? So there are two types of methods in analyzing the reliability estimate under inter-item consistency. So number one, we have the KR20. So ginagamit ang KR20 if our responses sa ating test ay dichotomous. So either right or wrong or yes or no. Strictly two responses lang. Okay? Next, we have the Cronbach's alpha. So, ginagamit natin ang Cronbach's alpha for Likert type scales. And last, ano yung huling reliability evidence? Rosana?
Sir, yung inter-rater po.
Okay. So, inter-rater, ayan, it is concerned with the reliability based on expert judgment. So, do they agree na dapat kasama tong item na to or do they agree na tama ba yung rankings? Kunwari, sa mga pageants, dun uso yun, di ba? So those are the different types of reliability evidence. So any further questions regarding reliability?
Ano po?
Okay. Sige. Now let's proceed to validity. So what do you think is the definition of validity? Team?
More on ano po, sa judgment po about sa isang test na mini-measure.
Yes. Okay. Carl?
Yung term po na validity, it refers to anything that present factual information po.
Okay. And Tel?
For me po, yung validity is yung accuracy po ng isang research po.
Okay. So now let's define validity, no? So validity is basically a judgment or estimate of how well a test measures what it purports to measure in a particular context. So masasabi nating valid ang isang test if totoo nga na yung claim niya na gusto niyang gawin ay nagagawa niya. May it be in terms of theory or practical application. So balikan natin yung example natin na yung Big Five inventory, if you can still recall that, no? So, ayun. If the items or the test itself as a whole truly measure the Big Five personality inventory, then it should actually have a same approach when it comes to both theory and application. So dapat nade-detect niya or yung items din mismo nade-detect yung level or degree of openness, consensuousness, and so on. No? However, again, please take note that validity is dependent on the context kung saan ginagamit yung text. Okay? So we must then evaluate or evaluate because validity is not established in a single setting or context, no? We should evaluate or re-evaluate again the purpose of mismong test. Yes, pwede sabihin natin na pwedeng-pwede itong test na to for normal clients. Pero kung ang mga test takers naman natin ay clinical, do you think the test itself would be valid? Who knows? So therefore, again, we must evaluate and or evaluate kung talaga ngang useful sa iba't ibang klase ng setting or even population. And just like reliability, no test or measurement technique is universally valid for all time, for all uses, with all types of test taker population. So again, the context is crucial because validity depends on the purpose kung saan gagamitin yung test and also yung paano siya i-administer sa iba't ibang tao. So how do we establish validity evidence? So unang-una, test response. So validation involves considering the following. No? Kapag test response, dapat mag-reflect, no? kung adequate ba yung either yes or no or Likert format or even the interpretation behind every response. Next is the internal structure of the test. Yung mga nilalaman ba nung ating test na items ay relevant in measuring the construct as a whole? Next, relationships with other variables. So, as you learn later this module, makita nyo na gagamitin pa rin natin yung correlation coefficient. And lastly, the consequence itself, no? Because again, some tests can be useful when it comes to making certain decisions, no? So the first type of validity evidence is the face validity. So face validity yung appearance lang nung test mismo. So I want everyone to take this into consideration. Ayan. Kung ako, nagpa-administer ako ng ganyang test sa inyo, do you think it is a psychological test? Or would you think na mine-measure ko yung gusto kong i-measure? Ano masasabi nyo sa test na yan na nakikita nyo ngayon?
Sir, medyo malabo po.
Oh, medyo malabo. Sorry.
Babasa.
I'll send it sa chat. Sige. Ayan. Nakikita na sa chat?
Yes po.
Okay. Tel.
Sir, for me po, kapag po nakita ko siya as test, parang mahihirapan po ako kasi hindi po siya masyadong clear or wala po masyadong context. Like for example po, yung number 7 or yung number 6, like in school, people, parang ano po yung ilalagay ko doon kung wala po siyang enough context po para po sa mga test takers.
All right. Pero kung ito naman ang ipapa-administer ko sa inyo, what would you think of that?
Sir, malabo rin po.
Okay. Ayan. Kindly check sa chat box. What is everyone's opinion, no? Regarding the second test na present ko? Or what do you think the face validity evidence would be like? Tell.
Sir, sorry, yung answer ko po pala kanina, parang medyo mali. Pero from the physical appearance po of the test, parang mas okay po yung sa pangalawa kasi, for example, ay nakalagay nga po dyan, it's an adult response sheet, tapos
Mm-mm.
may demographic profile din po kaming i-share, tapos parang may logo po sa upper left side. So parang for me, mas formal po siya or mas valid po siyang i-present po sa mga test takers.
All right. Thank you for that, Tel. And Christian?
Good afternoon po, sir.
Good
Same lang
afternoon.
din po ng answer ni Tel. Unlike po dun sa umpisa, yung sa unang test, wala po masyadong graphics, kumbaga. Katulad po nung logo po nung institute, yung box po, yan, wala rin nakalagay. Tapos, um, sa una po, parang simpleng test lang siya na most of the time, baka hindi rin seryosohin ng client. Kasi nga, parang simple test lang siya na ina-administer. Unlike dito po sa pangalawa na, yun po, na mas na-visualize or mas nafe-feel ng mga clients natin na pang psychological assessment talaga siya. Kasi nga, yun nga po, may demographics, may logo ng institute, and clear din po na yung test po is for adults. Yan po. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your responses. No, so basically, while face validity doesn't have much of a bearing, no, when it comes to establishing validity evidence, it is crucial pa rin because you have to take into consideration the importance of our test takers or clients taking the test itself seriously, no? So, pwedeng sabihin natin dito na doon sa unang picture na most likely hindi yan seseryosohin ng ating mga clients because again, parang ano lang, nahanap lang natin siya online or gawa-gawa lang just to measure the construct of interest, no? Pero itong sa second picture, most likely seseryosohin nila yan because again, it looks formal. So the next type of reliability or validity evidence rather is content validity. So face validity is concerned with the appearance. Ito namang content validity ay yung mga items mismo. So how well does the item fit with what is known about being measured? So, naaangkop ba yung mismong item para ma-measure ang, let's say, extroversion? So, content validity relies mostly on expert judgment. So, usually kaya tayo nagko-consult ng expert validator, no? Because, yun nga, maalam sila regarding our subject matter. Pero at the same time, expert validation or content validity evidence is the typical stepping stone when it comes to test development. Because talagang dapat ma-evaluate muna kung whether or not naangkop talaga yung mga items natin from a large item bank. So, yes, malaki ang items natin, pero at the same time, not all of the items na ginawa natin ay truly reflective of the construct mismo. The third type of validity evidence is criterion-related validity. So pag sinabi nating criterion, no, this is a standard by which we judge something. So here, ine-establish natin yung relationship, no, between the performance on a test and some standing for a certain criterion. So take for example, the context sa education. No? Because sa outcome sa education usually is either pass or fail. And yung mga tests na tinatake ninyo, those are criterions themselves. Because it is a standard which can determine whether or not you will pass or fail a subject. So, what are the characteristics of a criterion? So, unang-una, the criterion must be relevant. So, yung criterion natin or yung mismong test or construct of interest, it should be observable and measurable. Second, it must be valid for the purpose it is being used. So again, dapat within the context lang na kung saan natin gagamitin mismo. No? Third, reliable. So again, dapat may consistency. And lastly, uncontaminated. So here are two ways by which we can establish criterion-related validity. So una, concurrent validity or the extent to which the scores may be used to estimate a present standing. So again, gamit ko na example ay educational setting, no? So pwedeng sabihin natin dito na how can an exam na ginawa ng isang teacher predict yung mismong grade ng student? Pero ito namang predictive validity, it's more on the future performance. So pwede natin sabihin na does this examination predict future board exam performance? So pwedeng ganon. Nagets yung difference between concurrent and predictive validity?
Yes po.
All right. So dito papasok yung importance ng decision theory. So basically these are concepts, no? Such as base rate, hit rate, and miss rate. So base rate, pag sinabi natin base rate, ayan, it is the extent to which a particular trait is present within the population. So pag hit, accurate. So sila mismo tama. Pero pag miss, may sablay. Okay? And the most important type of validity evidence is construct validity. So ito yung dapat na-meet ng ating test mismo. Okay? So balikan natin uli yung different types of validity evidence. So una, we have face validity or the appearance of that test as a whole. Second, we have the content validity. Does our items represent the construct being measured? Third, criterion-related validity. Does our test correlate or is capable of predicting some type of variable. And lastly, construct. Does our test truly measure the construct of interest? So here's how we can establish construct validity evidence. So unang-una, homogeneity of items. So pag sinabi natin homogeneity of items, the items would almost similarly measure the construct of interest. So para maging evident ang homogeneity, dapat mataas ang Cronbach's alpha natin. So that's the evidence of construct validity. Kung sabihin natin na lumabas sa Cronbach's alpha natin is 0.90, then it is an excellent indicator na yung test natin mismo indeed measures our construct of interest. Second, it changes with age. So take for example extraversion, no? Research findings about extraversion is that habang tumatanda, nababawasan. If you can still recall developmental psych. So dapat ganun din, hilalabas na evidence na let's say si client natin or test taker ay 45 years old na. So therefore, we should definitely expect na yung extraversion levels niya when they were 20 years old and now 45 na siya, bababa. So there should be such a trend. Next, pre-test, post-test changes. So we can establish construct validity evidence in clinical skills actually, no? For example, we measure anxiety. So dapat kung nag-intervention tayo sa ating mga clients, mababawasan yung levels of anxiety before and after the intervention. Next, distinct groups. Ayan. So, meron naman tayo dito assumption between sino yung mataas yung level ng certain traits or attributes and sino yung mababa. So therefore, there should be some kind of consistency regarding such differences na nag-exist. Next is convergent evidence. So ang convergent evidence is basically correlation analysis, no? So dapat yung test natin ngayon ay strongly correlated with the test from the past. Ganun din sa divergent evidence. Pero dapat to establish convergent evidence, mataas. For example, I am creating a test on psychological well-being. So to establish convergent evidence, dapat correlated din siya from a former test or previous test na establish na measuring psychological well-being. Pero pag divergent evidence, pwede ako kumuha ng isang test, no, na contrary dun sa construct of interest. So for example, psychological well-being minemeasure ko, I should correlate it with a depression test or anxiety test. So ang i-expect ko dapat to establish a divergent evidence, dapat mababa or negative yung correlation between them. And lastly, factor analysis. So factor analysis is basically used in understanding the structure of our test, no? So dito natin ma-identify yung mga domains ng ating construct. So pwede nating sabihin dito yung ginawa natin, no? Yung Eysenck's personality questionnaire because it consists of factors such as psychoticism, extraversion, neuroticism, and lie. So, yun yung next lab natin. Factor analysis. But since we are online lang, no, and most likely, baka lang naman, no, holiday, tamaan tayo. So hopefully, makapag-factor analysis tayo using SPSS. So any questions regarding the different types of validity evidence? Okay. So as you can see, relevant pa rin yung papel ng correlation analysis when it comes to not only establishing reliability evidence but also validity evidence. No? But bear in mind that reliability is a higher entity than validity because not all tests that are valid are indeed reliable. Okay? Please take note of that. Yes, sabihin natin na oo, minemeasure nung test yung ganitong construct. Pero may consistency ba over time within the item? Probably not all the time. But at the same time, we should strive to establish reliability and validity very well. So any further questions, clarifications? None. All right. So now let's move to the issue when it comes to validity, bias, and fairness. So bias is basically a factor inherent in a test that systematically prevents accurate, impartial measurement. So pag sinabi nating systematic, no, there are several irrelevant factors that may actually affect yung performance ng grupo or isang tao. Because for some instances, may minemeasure yung isang test or may item na nalagay na hindi naman talaga dapat ilagay and hindi naman tugma sa kung alin ang minemeasure. No? So some of the scales may actually even overestimate or underestimate the scores. No? But basically, bias doesn't only revolve around group differences. So, again, balikan natin yung distinct groups. So, para masabi natin na hindi siya biased, dapat realistic yung existing differences. Okay? But also bias in itself may have some kind of methodological implications, no? Pero again, bias will truly present itself in subtle ways. So again, importante lang na tayo ay mindful. And lastly, fairness. So pag sinabi nating fairness, it is the extent to which a test is used in an impartial, just, and equitable way. So dapat walang discrimination. No? When it comes to measuring the trait, the construct, or even target of interest. No? So dapat pantay-pantay as much as possible. So any questions regarding validity as a whole? Right. So now let's proceed to the next psychometric property, utility. So what do you think is the definition of utility? Tell.
Sir, sorry po. Yung utility po, yung usefulness po ng ng isa pong test.
Yes. Yes, very good. So utility is a psychometric property of a test that is concerned with the practical value of testing to improve efficiency. So nabasa niyo na ba yung book ni Cohen? I already uploaded it sa classwork, or at least tried to um, skim through it. So yung context kasi ni Cohen, if nabasa niyo siya, it's more on the business or organizational application in understanding utility. No? So utility again, basically, ang question naman natin dito is, makabubuti ba na gamitin itong test para mas-screen maigi ang isang tao? May it be for organizational purposes or business, di ba? Kapag yung sa pre-employment examinations, o kaya naman is detecting possible clinical case that can potentially warrant a diagnosis itself. So that is utility about. So there are different factors that affect test utility. So number one, psychometric soundness. Second, the costs. And third, the benefits. So pag sinabi nating psychometric soundness, ayan, dapat yung test mismo or yung scores sa isang test, no, ay magagamit in making better decisions. For example, sa isang pre-employment exam, they typically make use of intelligence test, no? So makabubuti ba yung intelligence test na iyon in screening for someone na magper-perform ng maigi kapag sila ay na-hire na mismo sa kanilang trabaho? O kaya naman, same din sa personality test. So yes, sabihin natin na mataas nga sa papel or sa test yung kaniyang level of conscientiousness. Pero sa actual ba? Ganun ba talaga? So, psychometric soundness of a test is mostly concerned with the criterion-related validity. Pero again, may limits ang understanding of criterion-related validity because there may be certain factors that can affect decisions on test utility naman. So, psychometric soundness of a test is not a matter of all or none. But at the same time, valid tests are not always useful. So next is cost. So cost, dito papasok yung ginagastos sa pag-purchase ng isang test. pwedeng magkaroon kasi ng dilemma wherein either level B or level C na yung makakatulong siguro for an organization. Pero, do you really think it would be worth it na magpa-administer ng ganung level of test, the levels B and C, just for the purposes of screening applicants? So, pwedeng yes or pwedeng no. Pwedeng yes because ang concern mismo is psychological well-being. Pero the cost associated with, let's say, administering a projective test is costly because gagastos na nga yung isang kumpanya ng psychological test, let's say projective test for example, tapos gagastos pa for a psychologist that would administer and interpret the projective test. Okay? So costs also applies to non-economic factors such as human life. And lastly, we have the benefits. So benefits can actually be defined as profits or gains or advantages. So pwede natin sabihin dito na yung productivity rate ng buong company no hinire si ganitong employee. No? O kaya naman yung pagbabawas ng turnover rate ng ginamit yung test mismo. And basically, utility analysis is all about cost-benefit analysis. Ganun lang siya. Some of it may be straightforward, pero some of it may apply mathematical models, no? But still, regardless of whether straightforward siya or gagamit ng complicated math, the end point of utility analysis is all about an educated decision na makakabubuti. So any questions so far about utility analysis? Okay. So here's how we can establish utility evidence. So unang-una, expectancy data, which provides the likelihood a test taker will score within some interval of scores on a criterion measure. So pwede natin sabihin dito yung sa applicant screening ulit, no? Sino yung pumasa, sino yung na-meet yung acceptable na level, or sino yung mga hindi pumapasa. So, pag sinabi nating pass or acceptable, no? The higher the score on a test itself would tell something about the likelihood of success from that person or from using the test itself. Next, we have the Taylor-Russell tables, no? Which provides an estimate of the percentage of employees hired by the use of a particular test who will be successful at their jobs. So basically, gagamit kayo ng isang table, no? Tapos, it can actually give you information regarding the percentage, no? Na kung sino yung mga naging successful in using a test. Pero kino-consider din yung validity evidence, no, which is a correlation coefficient, tapos si selection ratio na ginamit, and even the base rate. So another alternative is the Naylor-Shine table, no? But there are also other considerations talaga when it comes to trying to establish utility evidence, such as the following: the pool of applicants, the complexity of the job, and the cut score in use. So dito rin papasok yung yung decision theory. Pero at the same time, both validity and utility seems to be interconnected din naman. So the first practical consideration of establishing utility evidence is number one, the pool of applicants, no? Because some utility models are based on the assumption that there will be a ready supply of viable applicants. Pero it doesn't apply all the time because you have to consider the nature of the job itself. Kasi some of the jobs, again, it would require certain expertise. Tapos, at the same time, pwedeng limited lang yung nagpo-possess ng certain expertise. Also, pwede rin yung economic climate, no? Especially if nasa recession period. So, most likely, bababa yung possible number of applicants. And also, we have to consider the fact that even the top performers on a single test would not accept a job offer. So, yan yung mga consideration natin when it comes to the pool of applicants. So, next, the complexity of the job. So, again, sa isang trabaho, hindi lang certain skills or hindi lang isa yung pwedeng hinahanap, kundi pwedeng marami. So may it be cognitive demands or many more. And next is the cut score in use. Because cut scores can be relative in certain ways. So number one, fixed cut score. So may mga practices in pre-employment examinations, no, na in order to be hired, dapat yung score should at least be within the 50th percentile. So, pag fixed cut score, kung saan mismo sakto yung 50th percentile, yun yung magiging cut score mismo. Next, we have the multiple cut scores. So, again, iba-ibang test pero isa lang yung magiging outcome is to whether the applicant will be hired or rejected. Next is multiple hurdles. So dito, pwede pumasok yung stage by stage na na-meet mo to, stage 1, na-meet mo yung ganitong score, you proceed to the next level or next stage. Pero kapag hindi mo ma-meet yung certain score or certain level in the second stage, di ka magpo-proceed sa third stage. So, ganun lang siya. So, how do we set cut scores? So, una-una, Angoff method. Angoff method is basically dependent on expert judgment. So, dapat mahalaga na may agreement or strong agreement between the evaluators. Second, the known groups method. No? So, by the definition itself, no? So dapat may alam tayo regarding dun sa sino nagpo-possess ng ganitong trait or kind of attribute sa mga hindi. Okay? So kumbaga dito papasok yung importance nung item discrimination. Or pwede naman using an IRT-based approach. No? So on an IRT framework, each item is associated with a particular level of difficulty. So dapat sabihin natin na dapat sa isang item, for example, masagot ng ganito. Let's say sabihin natin kung personality test tapos gusto i-measure is yung conscientiousness. So to assure na conscientious talaga yung ating applicant, so dapat either 4 or 5 yung sagot niya sa ganitong item. Pero kung hindi, most likely dapat alisin siya. And lastly, discriminant analysis. So these are techniques, no, using regression model, pero ang dependent variable naman is either pass or fail or accept reject. So it is basically aimed at categorizing. But at the same time, it can help, no, when it comes to understanding the ideal score na dapat ma-obtain in a single test. So any questions regarding validity and utility?
None po.
All right. Sige. So since medyo limited yung understanding of utility sa book ni Cohen, I think I will be giving you an assignment to do a simple research lang regarding a utility of a test. So regardless of the context, simple research lang kung paano yung isang test nagkaroon ng utility evidence. And you can actually hardly find one na isang test na nagdi-discuss ng utility as a psychometric property. So, yun lang yung assignment nyo for next week. Yeah.